Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 122 of the MTB podcast, presented and hosted by Worldwide Cyclery. I am Jared.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Liam.
And in this episode, we are going to break things out into nice little digestible segments. Thanks to some feedback from our friend Josh Saunders.
Yeah.
He's the man. And we took some feedback from him about kind of chunking it in different segments and doing segments each episode. We're always open to feedback. We want to make this podcast really good. So if you have any feedback, good or bad, feel free to email it to podcast@worldwidecyclery.com. And Jared will read it. And he'll either be happy or offended. Oftentimes perplexed is the look on his face when he reads the podcast emails.
Yeah. I do love the emails, though, so I really enjoy you guys sending those.
Could you call this podcast a little chunky?
Oh,
a little chunky.
We
should do that.
Podcast chunky edition.
The first chunk, I will remind people some of the original ethos of this podcast. It's to keep it PG-13. Mm-hmm. We never use any foul language. There may be some innuendos, but we keep it PG so you can listen to it with your children around. And what else do we do?
We want to entertain and inform.
We want to entertain and inform fellow mountain bikers.
It's just first day.
What are we doing? You're the one who started it. You tell me, man.
Well, technically, it was Jonathan and Steven that started it, and then we took it over from them when
that's true.
Life had their way with them, and
they're still alive.
Yeah, they're still alive. I meant like
they're doing all right. They're just busy.
Meant like marriages and children and
life caught up with them.
Life caught up with them.
Yeah, life had their way with them.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
In a good way. They're both doing great. We should have those guys back on the podcast one of these days.
People do email in every once in a while and ask the
real OG listeners, the super OG listeners, pre-episode 70 or something.
Something like that,
will remember that the first 70, which is a lot of episodes, was Jonathan and Steven. So thank you to those two guys.
That's crazy. We've done almost as many as they have now.
Yep, we're coming up on it.
We're catching you guys.
So, speaking of our segments,
yes,
the topics we're going to discuss. The first segment is called topics. Does that make any sense? A segment is topics.
More like what do they call index?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
glossary
in a book.
No, that's not it.
Glossary is
talking about
back.
the index or the glossary.
I don't know what the glossary is.
The first topic. First topic is how we're not that on topic.
No.
First topic is about Liam's trip to the Snowshoe Mountain Bike World Cup. He's going to give us a little recap of what it was like and highlights. Then we're going to talk about Jared's recent trail run race. I guess you want to talk about it because you wrote that. So
it's something I did. So
yeah. New Zipp wheels. So Zipp, which if you're a mountain biker, you're probably not super familiar with because they're more of a road brand, but they're owned by SRAM, and they make mountain bike wheels, the 3.0 Moto, and they have some new wheels that were just introduced.
The 1.0 high tops.
The 1.0 high tops. High tops or hit tops?
High tops.
High top? Hit
it's
top?
like capital H-I, capital T-O-P, right?
Mm-hmm.
Capital.
They like to mess with the caps
they're really playing around with the caps.
Yeah.
And then some fun segments. Zach's Words of Wisdom. That's a new segment that you'll be hearing every episode.
Yeah.
As well as
I don't know if he's aware
fact.
of it, but it is a new segment.
You didn't even ask him?
No, I didn't ask him. This is just one of his best quotes that I love.
He says it every day. So.
He does. He says it all the time, which is a great segue. Make it a great day or not, the choice is yours.
He does say that every day.
He does say that a lot.
So Zach, also known as Weaver, he works in our California store. And if you want to get to know him more, we made a little documentary-esque fun video about the Breck Epic mountain bike race that Liam and Weaver and Dom all did. That was last year?
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah.
Big 5-day mountain bike race in Breckenridge, Colorado. We made a little YouTube video about it. Weaver's one of the highlights, and it's a very comical YouTube video of ours. So if you're curious, is basically myself and Jared were what are we called? Like deck hands on that one. We did something, but it was mostly Louis.
Yeah.
We prefaced that one. It might be a touch over PG-13.
I think that was pretty PG-13.
No. All of our YouTube channel still is no profanity or nothing. So that one's there's certainly some innuendos in that one or some illustrious content.
I think I cussed in it.
We bleeped it out then.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But that was produced by your man Louis, who's also running this camera and all these microphones right now. He's the man. He chopped that baby up. It's actually a really fun video.
It's a great piece of work.
It's a really cool piece of work.
It's one of my favorite videos we've ever done.
I completely agree, and a lot of people say that. It's funny because that video, it's not the normal type of content we produce. We normally produce more educational mountain bike content. So YouTube's kind of used to seeing that, and our audience is used to seeing that. So if we do anything sort of off the cusp of that, the YouTube algorithm doesn't really promote or favor it very well. So it doesn't get as many views, but it's also a lot more loved. And like you read the comments, and people are pumped on it. So if you want to get to know Weaver better, and also see all of us at a mountain bike race in Colorado and
it's the ones
goofing around,
people remember. It's like the $50 bike race.
Yeah,
it's like
People
the $50 bike
hot
race.
wing race.
Yeah. For years, I would run into people, and they would bring up the $50 mountain bike race. And be like, that was my favorite video.
They still do.
And I was like, well, we have a video about some linkage suspension fork with 1 million views, and that one has 30,000, but people just love to tell me about how much they love that video. But that's how the YouTube algorithm works. So, anyways.
Well, speaking of which, should we jump into the fun fact? This is a great one.
Fun fact, man. Hit it.
All right. The Alaskan town of Talkeetna, I hope I didn't butcher that, has had a cat as a mayor for the last 25 years. Mayor Stubbs served, Stubbs, the cat is the name, served for 20 years until he passed in 2017. And then a cat named Denali succeeded Mayor Stubbs and is still the unofficial mayor of Talkeetna. Unofficial because the town is unincorporated and it's not really an official position. That's a kind of long fun fact for the day.
That's a great fun fact.
Yeah.
Well, let's move to some mountain bike news.
There you go.
Instead of talking about cats. I know you love cats.
Well, Bean will come around later, so.
So, Liam, you were just in West Virginia watching the only mountain bike World Cup on U.S. soil this year.
Correct.
There's usually only one.
Yeah.
That's in the U.S.
Yeah.
And
they're uncertain where it's going to be next year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's always changing. So what was there? There was the cross country and the downhill?
Correct.
Was it short track?
Yep, short track always.
There,
so short track's on Friday. Junior downhill's on Friday. Downhill elite is on Saturday. And then XCO, which is a long Olympic length cross country, is on Sunday.
Did you watch every single event?
No.
No.
Did you get to see cross country?
I watched the end of the female short track, most of the male short track. We did not get there in time for junior downhill racing. Literally, we were driving by as Ryan Pinkerton was dropping in. So didn't get to watch that. And then we took off on Sunday, I think, while the women's race was going on. So yeah, didn't watch any of that. Watched all the downhill.
All the downhill.
All the downhill.
That is incredible to spectate a downhill World Cup.
Yeah, I had never been to a World Cup. Been a lot of bike races and motocross races, a lot of outdoor motocross races, which is similar, but yeah, it doesn't. The fans still are over the top at Snowshoe. People say they're some of the best fans on the World Cup circuit, and they certainly delivered. It was a rowdy, wild time. A lot of partying, a lot of costumes.
Yeah, I had a few. So I went there last year, and there was also a lot of costumes. And I had this feeling that people were pre-testing their Halloween costumes. It's kind of close. You're already thinking about costumes. If you're the kind of person who always wears a costume on Halloween and you love it, come a World Cup where people wear costumes. It's September. You're like, yeah, I'm putting on my costume.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it was really fun though to watch. The racing was insane. So it rained the whole week leading up to it, and then it was pretty good for the weekend. So the conditions actually got better, but man, was qualifying and even the early runs and everything was crazy. A lot of people crashing.
Looked gnarly.
A handful of injuries,
dangerous
and stuff. That track is so hard to ride. It's 3-minute rock garden.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good time. It was fun. I'm glad I went. It's cool to hang out with Nico and everything he's got going on with frameworks and all that. Chat with some guys at some other companies and stuff. So yeah, it was cool. And for me, it's a central location, it's almost like a mini Sea Otter in a way. There's a bunch of people there that can talk to industry wise, and it's a central location.
Folks.
Yeah, industry folks. So
folks.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. It was West Virginia is a wild place. It's not easy to get to.
But. Yeah, that mountain is kind of a ways out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the track is gnarly. There was quite a bit of flat tires.
Yeah.
Seemingly more so than most downhill World Cups.
Definitely more than some
I guess
tracks.
there's not.
I think there's a lot of flats at like Fort William, and a few others. But yeah, it was. There's a lot of flats, a lot of crashes. Bruni crashed right in front of us.
Nice.
Went down
that actually happened to
pretty
me
hard.
last year at Snowshoe. Bruni crashed right in front of my feet.
In his race run?
No, this is in practice.
This was in his race run, and he was he was last one down. So
oh wow,
yeah, he crashed. And
where were you for him?
we were in the lower rock garden, so there's like a good 3-4 foot drop kind of in the middle of the rock garden. We were right around there, and yeah, we were around a group of angels that were partying, and then a group of I don't know. Female.
What does that mean?
Angels? Like they're dressed up as angels. They're wearing all white head to toe and playing drums and cowbells and
any halos.
Halos, yeah. And then they had the one. It was all guys, and then the one girl with them was the devil.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of other let's say a little bit older ladies in red. I don't know what they're really dressed up as, but they're all wearing red. Head to toe, and they were also getting very loose and partying, and we were surrounded by them. So it was a good time.
Nice.
Yeah,
sounds like a great time. If you haven't seen the video, Liam made a cool reel that's on the worldwide Instagram. Kind of gives you an idea of the vibe that was going down.
I made a PG reel.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, those races are wild. People get so stoked and they just hike up and down the track the whole time. It's muddy, it's slippery, they're drinking, there's people going the fastest they've ever gone in the world on bikes right next to them. It's a pretty crazy scene. So if you ever get a chance to go to a mountain bike World Cup, it's definitely a good time.
It's awesome. I wish they had something like that out here on the West Coast one day.
That would be cool if they did that.
Yeah. Well, Canada's trying to get one there with that new 1199 track.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, I should
Western
say
Canada?
West. Yeah, I should say West Canada because they have
BC.
MSA every year. But yeah, BC at Whistler.
Yep.
Yeah,
That'd be sick.
yeah,
That'd be tough for the teams, though. I get it, especially if they had one on MSA. And
Yeah, the majority of them are all in Europe, so it's pretty hard for them to get to the West Coast. And North
yeah.
America.
A lot of them had rental tents and stuff because they don't actually have pits in the U.S. So.
yeah, makes sense.
yeah.
Wow, sick.
Well, speaking of pits, how sweaty were your pits during your trail run?
That's a great segue.
You like that?
Yeah.
Dude, I was dripping.
I'm sure you
Like
were.
it looks
You're
like
sweaty
You're sweating
guy.
right now.
I know it is hot in here, but I was literally my shorts looked like I had,
Gone
peed
swimming.
myself, gone swimming.
Would have been a better thing to say.
I mean,
my
did
shirt-
you urinate yourself during?
No,
that? I mean,
no, it was perfect hydration strategy. It was perfect. No, like I could wring out my sun hoodie and sweat would come out of it.
Yeah.
Like same with my shorts, I could go like this and like sweat drip out
Nice.
of it.
14 miles and
2,000
feet of elevation. or something?
14.2 miles and like 2,900 feet of elevation.
Yeah.
It was super brutal.
In the Santa Monica Mountains.
Yeah, like in the first 15 or so minutes, I was just thinking to myself like, why the hell am I doing this?
yeah.
And then
You usually have that thought for a long time when you do that kind of stuff.
right? And then we got to the top of the mountain and it was beautiful, and I was like, oh, all right, I'm feeling a little better now. Like this is cool. It made it a little more worth it, and well, for those who don't know, we had a little in-house competition going on between me and Zach.
And Mike B also
and
did
Mike
it.
B. Yeah, well, he wasn't really in the competition as far as I was aware, but
No.
Yeah, it was more of a bet against you and Weaver of who was going to run fastest.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
I won, so I'm pretty happy.
Jared
about
went
that.
fastest, then Mike B, then Weaver.
Yeah,
But it was pretty close. You did 309?
303,
Oh, 303.
303.
And then what was Mike?
Mike was like 307 or 305 or something, and Zach was like 323 or something.
Yeah. Well, pretty close.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked with that.
Good old Santa Monica Mountain Trail Run.
It's really hard.
Started at 5?
Started
right?
at 5, and then
Yeah,
we
so
were
you ran
running
into
in
the
the
5
dark.
p.m.
Yeah, 5 p.m. So I was
Yeah.
running in the dark for maybe an hour or so.
Did it feel easier in the dark besides going downhill in the terrain?
Yeah,
I always feel
definitely.
like when you do that stuff and you get in the dark or you start in the dark, it's like time doesn't really count.
Yeah, well,
Like it kind of zaps by.
Tunnel vision
headlamp
out.
on, just like tunnel vision, and just techno going in the headphones, and just
What was your
tunnel vision.
what was your playlist like?
It was Carl Cox Ibiza DJ set.
Was it like an hour set just on repeat?
Yeah, I had like 2 of them queued up, and I just
Nice.
did back to back Carl Cox sets. It
Nice.
was sick. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if anybody here knows about Carl Cox, but
I'm sure some people do.
yeah, he's sick. He's great.
I'm curious how many people trail run or would have ever
Yeah.
done a trail run race, but
Yeah,
It's cool to see a lot more.
Really hard.
I feel as if in the last just few years, people, just our staff in general, has gotten into different stuff, whether that's road or gravel or running.
Yeah.
So
It was
kinda
a great event. Really well put on, and like there's tacos and beers afterwards. That was cool. And at first I was like, why are we not doing like a mountain bike race? Like, how come we ended up at a running event?
How did that transpire?
Mike signed up for it, I guess, and then Zach did, and they're like, oh, you're gonna do it? You're gonna do it? You're gonna do it?
Yeah, you
I'm
got
like,
peer pressured for weeks
I
on
guess.
that one.
Yeah, I will. But yeah, I did it, and no regrets. I'm pretty stoked I did it, and like feel really good. That was the longest distance I've ever run before. Longest I ever did before in like one go was probably like maybe 10 miles.
Yeah.
And that was 10 years ago. So
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
Nice.
Survived. No injuries. I can still walk and run and all that. Yeah.
Should we do the sub 6 minute mile thing again?
Oh, now we'll do it. Yeah. All right. Game on.
Yeah, you guys all got some base training in. So
Yeah, that's true. There was a bet earlier this year of Jared and Weaver in the first person to run a sub 6 minute mile. That's what it was, right?
Yeah.
It's basically just a 5:59.
Yeah.
Would get some massive prize.
Yeah.
And there's like a 6-month time frame, and neither of them even tried.
No. I tried,
Neither of them
but
even tried.
the fastest I could put down was like a 6:59.
You ran once.
Well,
You did
for
one
the time,
mile.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just was like started to train, but
Yeah.
whatever. I'll do it again, and then then we'll see. Then we'll see.
Running the mile is such a miserable distance.
I know.
It's just long enough to just really be in pain that feels like eternity.
Yeah.
And it has to be so high intensity that it's just rough. It's
Totally.
like it's not short enough to just be like, I'm just gonna sprint as fast as I can and call it, like, it's not the quarter mile.
No.
And it's not like, oh, I'm doing 5 or 10 or 14. It's just this like horrible middle distance.
After probably like 3/4 of a mile, you're just like, okay,
You've had enough.
It's got to be done.
Yeah.
Like, no, you have another.
Yeah.
quarter mile.
It's true.
Damn it. But yeah, running. It is what it is.
Yep.
I don't know if I'll do. Maybe I'll do another one of those. We'll see.
What you need instead of your shoes is some wheels.
That's right.
Such as?
Mountain bike.
Zipp.
Oh, Zipp. That's right.
Tried
You
to
missed yours.
Oh,
missed yours.
man.
push you into that
laid
one.
it up for me,
Just tossed it.
man.
So
Missed it.
the new Zipp wheels, you've been riding them quite
I
some
rode
time?
them. Yep.
Okay,
like a bit
cool.
over a month.
Give us the overview.
So Zipp. So yeah, like Jeff said, Zipp came out with the 3.0 Moto wheels probably 4 years ago.
Yeah, and at the time
So-
it was a really unique, interesting,
and it
mountain
still
bike
is,
wheel set.
honestly.
Yeah, it is. No one else has
Um,
done a single wall rim
And
like that.
honestly, if I were to run most carbon wheels for a trail or enduro bike, that is what I choose to run.
Yeah,
I
I think
just
they have the best
actually run alloy,
ride
but
qualities, hands down.
They do. I
Yeah,
love
they're just
them.
a little heavy.
So
Yeah.
basically, those were a single wall rim that were meant to flex side to side, giving you some more traction
Little compliance.
and compliance. So Zipp then went to design a cross country wheel. Couldn't make it light enough and single wall, so it is a double wall, but it is a very shallow double wall rim, traditional double wall. But it's quite shallow with a lot of compliance taken into mind. So the lightweight ones, the high end ones, weigh 1325, so 1,325 grams, which is quite light. Super competitive as far as like cross country wheel sets go.
Mm-hmm.
What's the internal width on the rim?
30 mil internal. Yeah.
Are they lighter than Bird Hawk 27s?
I believe so.
Whoa.
Oh wait, 27s? I'm not sure, but they are lighter than the Bird Hawk 30s, which would be a
Do you think the rim is more compliant and...
I was going to get there.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So so they are a little bit
I got this for you, Jeff. 1350 grams for the Hawk 27. So they are technically lighter.
Oh, the touch lighter, yeah.
Touch lighter.
So yeah, having a month on the Zipp wheels, they feel kind of right in the middle of, say, a Bird wheel, because a Bird's more compliant and a bit more, I don't know if I want to say flexy, but the spokes have a certain feel to them that kind of leads to like a little, it's definitely compliance, but a little also like kind of wind up. I don't even know if that's the correct term for the Bird wheels, but you feel them that you're on Bird spokes on those. And then on the other side of the spectrum, I'd put the Revol Control SLs, which I had on my previous Ranger, which are definitely way stiffer than the Zipps and kind of ping you around the trail a bit and don't comply nearly as much as the Zips do. So, yeah, they have a really good ride quality. The hubs are good.
How many engagement in the rear hub? Engagements.
You caught me a little bit.
That's a good question.
Yes.
Caught him with his pants down.
Yes.
I think.
I already want them though. They're light.
Yep.
Yeah, they're really
Try
good.
those.
They look sick.
66 points of engagement.
Oh.
That's good.
Yeah, so
It's enough.
it's enough.
Anything above 50 is good for me.
It's about the same as what a DT Swiss with a ratchet kit is. So
Those are 54, right?
yeah,
Close.
but you're not
Same.
going to feel 10
Yeah.
10 points. Yeah, and they also come with Tire Whiz 2.0.
Oh
which-
yeah, that was how the 3.0 motos were, right?
Yeah.
You literally buy them and it would
Mhm.
include that. Yeah.
Yeah, so the 1.0 high tops have two models. The high end, which is called the 1.0 high top SW,
Oh.
which comes with a really lightweight hub and also comes with the Tire Whiz. And then they have
What does SW mean? Super weight weenie?
Maybe. I don't think they say it all. What is XO and XX and XXSL?
Yeah, I don't
mean?
know what SRAM's doing with that.
So then
Any of
the more affordable ones are 1.0 high top S, and those come with the more standard hub that comes on the 3.0 moto wheels. So more of like, just your everyday hub. Those weigh 1495, so they're a bit heavier, but they have the same exact rim and spoke count. So your outer weight is all the same. It's super light. You get the weight in the hub, and those do not come with a Tire Whiz, so they're more affordable. And those actually aren't too bad at all. It's $625 for a front and $725 for a rear, so 13.
For the wheel?
Yeah,
Here's another tricky
13.50?
question.
Really?
retail for the more affordable ones,
Huh.
and then other ones retail for $925 for a front and $1,025 for the rear.
It's pretty affordable set carbon wheels right there for
Couple
those,
Gs,
those
couple
cheaper
Gs.
ones, huh?
Yeah.
Here's a question. Do the weights include the Tire Whiz?
It did not say,
There's no way.
but I did weigh them on my own.
Why do you say that, huh? There's no way. No way, man.
Because if you're messing with the lightweight product like that, I mean, even regular wheels aren't weighed with valve stems.
Yeah, but they don't.
It's not technically
The Tire
same.
Whiz is not heavy at all. It's basically plastic with a CR 2032 battery.
Everything weighs something.
Yeah, you're correct. But yeah, so yeah, I'm super stoked on those. They
Yeah, I got to try those. They look really good. I was really impressed. I just think
Yeah.
they look cool. It's like a really nice rim profile, and I have a lot of faith and trust in Zipp and how good their
Yeah.
products are, and especially wheels and hubs.
I had those on my new Revel Ranger V2,
yeah.
and they were really good on there.
Nice.
Yeah, I had to send them back, but
Hey, speaking of
I
that,
want a new set. SRAM.
nice and quickly, bikes and rides. It's this new segment.
New segment. Recurring new segment.
Recurring new segment. Take note. Bikes and rides we've been enjoying lately.
That's right.
What do you got?
We've been riding my hardtail.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Riding the hardtail. Yeah, the other day I was doing a little bit of, experimentation with tire pressure. I think I was telling Liam I ran 17 PSI in the front and 18 PSI in the rear. Didn't get a flat.
Recon 2.6.
Recon 2.6.
Okay.
Yeah, EXO.
Big boys.
Big boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely like...
Didn't feel slow or wandery?
Well,
or
not
anything?
really. I mean, I was riding
feel
like
like you were
relatively
rolling 'em?
technical single track and like some rocky stuff where I could just kind of glide over it really
Yeah.
nicely, like flat rocky stuff, I definitely was pushing it a little bit and like, hit my rim at one point and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that was stupid.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was just like, it was one of those things where I was just like checking my pressure and I was like, oh, 17 and 18. Let's see how this goes. I didn't really feel like pumping it up and it was kind of nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Just that bike.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that on anything else.
Well, to that, I've been experimenting with more tire insert and lower pressures on the XC bike, and not on the Zips because I wanted to ride those as is, but on my bird wheels, I have a Recon 2.4 front, Icon 235 rear with Tubo light inserts, which I don't think we have on the site, but I'm
those are those
testing them.
blue ones,
The
right?
blue one, super light, 55 grams as well. Same as the Vittoria Airliner, but a little bit more dense. And I'm running 1921 PSI,
Nice.
19 front, 21 rear, quite low with the inserts, and it felt really good.
Feels good with those like short knob tires, like a Recon or something.
You do have to change your riding style. You can't like push into corners and pump as much.
I can never ride pressure that
it's all about
tire.
holding momentum and just gliding over stuff, gliding through corners. So
speaking of cool bikes that you've ridden, you were just telling me you got to ride Nico's prototype Frameworks enduro bike.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
They've made a whole article about that on Pink Bike, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people have been riding it outside of Nico and Asa and Logan. But yeah, it was cool. I hopped on it and a bunch of prototype Fox stuff. So of course it feels amazing. And and prototype wheels and everything. But yeah, I rode it and I was like, whoa! I like instantly immediately popped it up for a manual, held a manual for like 30, 40 feet, and then like rode some other little areas, and I was like, this thing feels really good. So I think they are working their way to selling both a downhill frame, which is first, and then enduro frame after, which will be next year. No clue how they're going to go about that and if we're going to be involved at all, but it's cool.
That'd be cool.
And it felt really good right off the bat, and I was like, wow, this thing like set up right can basically do everything, pedal up and ride downhill trails. So that's cool.
It's a lot to say for like his first iteration, basically, of an enduro bike, right? I mean,
he knows what he's doing.
He does know what he's doing,
and he learned a lot from the downhill bike as far as manufacturing techniques go.
For sure.
Speaking of that, in the show notes, Jared is going to put the link to Nico's YouTube channel, because he's got an entire YouTube channel that documents his entire process of creating these bikes and riding and racing these bikes and having other people ride and race them, which is really cool. So if you're into bike nerdage, it is the pinnacle of it. Also, maybe drop the link to the Pink Bike article that talks about that prototype enduro bike, because the geo and the pictures and everything are pretty intriguing. It's definitely different. So
there you go.
All right, cool. Well, the only thing I got, I'm just per usual. Obviously, got back on the Revel Ranger after riding the enduro bike a whole bunch. I think only rode once since I've been back from Italy, but it was cool. A really close friend of mine from Canada was in town, and him and I have ridden a number of times, but never got to ride on my home trails. So it was cool to have him out and just ride and show him the local network out here, which is awesome. That's just a good feeling when you have a friend you've been friends with for years and years and years, and you've ridden places, and then finally you get to show them your own like home local trails. So
yeah, that's always fun. And then when they like it, that's also fun. Instead of them being like, "Oh, your trails suck." Dude. Like, why'd you even take
he thought they were cool. I didn't give him the full, show him everything. But
the full sampler.
Yeah. He's the kind of guy who's like, you just get him on a bike and ride anything. He's like, I'm having a great day.
Nice.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
We have a nice little setup.
Yeah, we definitely do. All right. Well, let's jump into one of our legitimate show sponsors, and then after that, listener questions.
Ultra legitimate sponsor this time.
Ultra legitimate.
We sold out.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Ever feel your local trail is lacking some pizzazz?
Did you just sprinkle gourmet dirt on that trail?
It's a worldwide cycle reloam. Turn that sad trail into a rad trail.
It's like giving your trail a fab makeover.
Who knew a bag of dirt could be a mountain biker's BFF?
With this, I might even impress squirrels.
Worldwide cycle reloam, because even dirt can have a glow up.
And now, back to the show.
What are you doing?
We're dancing, man. Get down.
You're just boring.
You come off with these. Is that a real song?
Yeah.
Yeah, get down on it. Come on, man.
Play that.
It's kind of like, just beat it.
Yeah.
Kind of like that kind of
Same
song.
era.
That's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Right? Listener questions.
Jump right in.
What mountain bike race would the Yeti SB140 be optimized for? I know you can race any bike for any race, yada yada. But when would you choose a 140? Seems like the 160 would be chosen for enduro, and 120 is best for XC, etc. So just wondering when the SB140 would be your chosen steed.
Well,
I
I don't think Yeti categorizes that. They have two categories, race and rip.
Oh, yeah.
And the SB140's in the rip.
Oh, yeah.
No, 140 would be good for a lot of...
had to do with 29 and 27.5.
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, you guys can enduro on that.
But yeah, I mean, the SB140 is a sick bike for probably, honestly, a lot of enduros that aren't that chunky. Like a lot of California enduros, Ashland Enduro, which is, I think, part of that California Enduro, but it's in Oregon. 140 would be a sick bike for that terrain. And yeah, a lot of
enduro races that aren't at gnarly bike park terrain style
Yeah,
things.
an SB140 lunch ride would probably do really well at most enduro races. That's not,
Yeah.
China Peak or Big Sky and, the proper technical ones. But yeah.
I mean, even then, I was riding it at Whistler Bike Park and was handling it, you know?
Lunch ride.
Lunch ride.
So that's what Yeti calls their bikes when they, what do? They put usually a longer stroke rear shock on it?
No, not anymore. They're all
they
full
stopped
max.
doing
But
that?
they put usually a bigger shock, so like from a single can to piggyback, usually up the fork 10 mil in travel, and bigger brakes, bigger rotors, and more tires.
Didn't they just make an SB120 lunch ride?
Yeah, with rock shocks.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks cool.
First Yeti with rock shock stock ever,
but they
I
just
think.
bumped that to like 140 front.
140
and then
front.
Pike Super Deluxe Ultimate. And
Yeah, and then
Yeah, it
code
looked
brakes,
awesome.
Code brakes.
bigger tires, bigger rotors.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that's how I was riding my one. Besides the piggyback rear shock, that's how I rode my 120 for a long time, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Felt really good.
And in the same vein, SB140, Mike was riding it at Downeyville.
Yeah.
I mean, you could set it up for that, right?
Yeah.
Like you could have a DPS on there with some faster tires. Like,
Well, when I did get my 120 and Zach had that 140 for a little bit, I was like,
yeah,
they weigh the same.
they weigh the same.
But almost. I have a 34 as a 36. That's
Yeah.
all the weight difference. I was like, I can pretty much make this 140 stock with 150 fork as fast as a 120.
Yeah.
Not more travel.
Just a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
A little more cushion for the pushing.
Different strokes. for
Yeah,
different
it is pretty
folks.
cool how customizable bikes are these days.
It is.
Yeah.
So when you're only talking a 20 millimeter travel difference, you can certainly build one lighter weight and one heavier weight, and then it has a pretty different feel.
Totally. So some downhill tires on SB140. I mean, you got a weapon.
But I
Yeah.
do say that a 29er that has 130 or 140 mil travel in the back, that's the best one quiver bike.
Totally.
You can only have one bike.
And that's what I was going to say.
That's what you should do.
Like regarding this question too, it's like if you don't have the luxury of choosing, right? Like
Yeah.
that would be a great bike to just do it all and like, pick
Yeah.
a race and do it and
Swap
just change
out
your tires,
tires. Yeah.
set up your bike for it and then go run it.
Yeah, that's one of those questions to me. It's if you had to have, which is, I hate answering this question, but if you had to have one bike for the rest of your life, what would it be? It's like, well, it would certainly be something that had 29-inch wheels and 130 or 140 mil travel.
Yeah.
And
I don't want to live in a world where I have to have one
that's
bike
ridiculous.
for the rest of my life.
Those questions are, they're
China.
I try to not
Right.
get offended by most things, but I'm offended by that question.
Okay. You want one thing for the rest of your life, get married, and then
these.
buy all the bikes you want.
Get these questions coming on. Jeff, which bike would you have one bike for the rest of your life?
Yeah, it's better than it's not as bad as a question like, well, would you rather have an XC bike on a downhill track or a downhill bike on an XC track? Like, what?
Next question.
Yeah, go.
Music on rides. I don't because I want to hear nature and wind and my bike. But some dudes carry a huge Bluetooth speaker blaring Blink-182. What's your take? Yeah, I feel the same. I don't want to listen to music. Well, unless it's like a gravel or road ride. I prefer music then. Just
In headphones or a Bluetooth
Oh,
speaker?
in headphones, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speaker it out.
I never have ridden with a Bluetooth speaker ever, but I do ride with headphones quite a lot on just like my morning rides, whether like an hour or two.
Mountain bike?
Yeah, by myself.
Which headphones?
I don't know, some skull candies that I buy every 8 months because they always crap
Just like
out.
little earbuds?
Yeah, little earbuds. I usually ride with one, just the right one.
Those ones that you showed me, or like that Joe had, the ones that go,
Skulls or something?
they go, so you can still hear people talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't go in the ear canal. They're bone conducting.
Yeah,
Those are cool.
I wanted to try those, but they're triple the price of the skull candies. So
Yeah.
yeah, and
There you go.
they're a little bit bigger, right? Where like my skull candies are just one little earbud, and I run the skull candies on my AirPods because if I lose them, I don't care.
Yep.
Or if they always die out after like 8 months. Sweat might mess them up, but yeah, I do that. We know what Jared listens to on his rides a lot. Do you wear headphones?
No, never.
Never?
No, never.
Even
I just
solo
think
long
that-
rides or long runs?
Never.
Never, ever.
Never, ever,
During activities.
ever.
Music.
Never.
Why?
Wow.
Because I'm constantly, I just think that the input of noise and screens, like we're always listening to something, reading something, looking at something. It's just constant. And so for me to exercise on a bike or on foot is therapeutic to just get away from that stuff. And I think we all have this weird, subtle addiction to like, oh, I need to be listening to music or a podcast or looking at my phone when I stop or taking a picture. And I'm like, I just want to get rid of all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I find it very therapeutic, and I think that it is, my theory is I believe that it's like good for the human brain to sort of detox from sound and just listen to the sound of the world around you.
Yeah.
So
I do that on like big rides. You know, if I'm doing a solo 5-8 hour ride, no headphones, just, you know, in the nature. But I'm just doing an hour. It's more like, you know, my morning kind of jam.
Mm-hmm.
I like some music.
But I'll say a Bluetooth speaker has its place. Like if you're cruising around town, you know, going to a couple bars, like maybe you got a whole bike gang with you, throw a Bluetooth speaker on and blast your Blink-182, you know? Or,
well, this is the mountain bike podcast, not the bar crawl bike podcast.
we should start one of those.
The bar crawl bike podcast.
Welcome to the Bar Crawl Podcast.
Where we give you tips about how to bar crawl more hardcore.
Jared and I have sweet bar bikes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
You can never have too many good bar bikes.
No.
I thought you sold yours.
Oh, no, I gave it. Well, I have the Cannondale. Whatever. I gave that one back to Rob.
Yeah.
I kind of put all that sick stuff on it and gave it back to him because it was his originally, but
That's fine.
yeah. Oh, well.
Whatever you do with music, be safe and smart, because
Yeah.
you just really don't want to be one of those people that runs into someone or gets ran into because you're wearing headphones out on,
Yeah.
bi-directional trails. Like,
Yeah.
just don't do that.
Yeah.
The worst is when you come up behind somebody and they have headphones in and you're yelling at them,
Totally.
ringing the bell, and they don't hear you. And it's like, dude, come on.
Yep.
And then you just got to go around and be like, oh, and it's like, that was your fault.
And then they freak out and get mad at you because you startled them, and it's entirely their fault.
Yep.
Oh. Next question. Liam, you want to read that one?
What is the best rim tape for carbon wheels? I struggled with some brands, does not stick to the rim, and so I'm wondering if I am the problem. Big fan of the podcast.
I'm the problem. Ha ha.
Yeah.
Problem.
maybe a little bit of both. Well, in order to install rim tape, you have to really use some alcohol and get any residue, especially tire sealant, off of that. I'm a big fan of the. Did they rebrand it? Hang on, they might have rebranded it.
The DT Swiss one?
No, that is really good as well, but it's quite expensive, especially for shop use. Is it still whiskey tape or is it Terraville now?
The best rim tape is taking the time to do the cleaning and preparation of the rim.
Yeah.
But no, so they rebranded it. It's Terraville rim tape now. It is on our website.
That stuff is good.
Very thin but durable, and it's yellow, and it's kind of see-through, so you can like see it, and it sticks really well to the rim, and it complies really well. So it's not too thick where like it doesn't comply to any kind of rim profile, but it's also not too thin where you have to like use 2 or 3 layers. It's just in perfect. I just overlap it over the valve, and that's what I buy for the shop, and that's what I like to use on my wheels. So.
And available in a whole bunch of different widths
And like roll sizes. So I can get like a shop roll that's like, a bunch of it.
Yeah, that is
That's
good.
for the shop. The DT Swiss stuff is my second favorite. It's just about 2 or 3 times the price. So
Yeah.
Nice.
for shop use, doesn't work out price wise, but for home use, if you're just, taping up a wheel once or twice a year, DT Swiss is also really good.
Yeah.
I saw a tip. Somebody said they use a little Hot Wheels car to go around the rim to make sure that it sticks when they're putting rim tape on. They go like this with the car on the thing, and
I just like pull it.
Yeah.
And as I pull it tight, and then I get a clean rag, like a brand new like towel.
Yeah.
And then as I do that section, like that quarter, I then run the towel over it and kind of have it conform and do that. And then I do the next section, and then I run the towel. So
nice.
yeah.
I do that too, and that's probably why I do it, because you probably told me to do that.
Nice. Next one.
Awesome. My daughter races Pennsylvania NICA cross country and races a Scott scale with 100 mil travel. Outside of adding a dropper, we've kept her bike factory. She also races enduro on a stump jumper. She races for the Fire Team, which you sponsor. Thank you. She's going into a sophomore year of NICA racing. She's been working on skills and endurance, but once school starts, she'll have less time to have a skill session and endurance session. Which do you recommend she focus on during the season, skills or endurance? If both, how would you recommend she splits the time between the two? Looking to understand which will provide more impact on her current year racing results. Also, can you recommend XC tires for her? She's 100 pounds. Should front and back be the same?
Well, personally, if she's racing both XC and enduro during the winter, I'd probably keep skills and endurance pretty even. Like,
Gotta have them both.
Got to have them both.
Yeah.
And then once you start getting close to the season, like racing, especially enduro, well, actually, especially XC, and you can probably back off the skills to like 1 day a week and then do mostly endurance because that'll be better for XC. But if you're doing enduro, I'd probably keep them both pretty even, skills and endurance.
I would also say just where she feels confident or not.
That as well.
If she feels really confident in her aerobic capacity and how she competes there, and not confident when it comes to skills and things like that, then favor the weak areas.
There you go.
But don't neglect either one. You still have to do both regardless.
I know when I'm training hard for like, any endurance event, I spend most of the time on like XC or gravel bike, but I make sure I throw in like one good proper XC downhill day or like a trail bike day in there just to keep the downhill skills sharp.
Yeah.
Because you can like feel really off after like 3 weeks of not riding like downhill trails.
For sure.
So, and then XC tires, she's 100 pounds. I mean, it's really hard to go wrong with some Maxxis, Aspens, Recon Racer, Icons. Does not have to be the same front and the back, same brand, duh. But any of those. Aspens would be fastest, then Recon Race, then Icons. Icons will have the most traction. That's typically what I run. I'd rather have more traction than slide on my face. So,
yeah.
Yep, agreed. And for context, NICA, NICA, the National Interscholastic Cycling Association.
Intergalactic.
Intergalactic Cycling. That is an awesome nonprofit organization that Jared can't stop laughing. Louis dying. Louis can't stop. NICA is an incredible nonprofit organization that is making mountain bike racing and mountain biking an accredited sport in middle schools and high schools all over the United States, with over 25,000 kids participating. It's an organization that we support a lot because we really care and believe in what they're doing. So, just for context, so people don't know what NICA is, because not everyone has kids in high school or deep in the mountain bike industry and know about NICA.
Yeah.
So
Sweet. Deep. Next question.
Next question.
Have y'all experimented with handlebar sweep to eliminate hand pain? Is this something usually specific to each person?
Why'd you read it that?
I don't know. Because I said you all, so I said y'all, and then it kind of went from there.
I've done a little bit of it, but I found that I prefer my bike handling a certain way more than like hand pain. And I don't get hand pain, but like messing with sweep will mess with my handling and like stem length and everything. So I kind of stick to one, which I prefer to put the handling aspect first, not the hand pain.
On that topic, in order to not, because changing your handlebar sweep, especially an abnormal amount, can mess with the handling of the bike a lot in an adverse way. But hand pain, in my experience, a lot of people experiment with different grips, either with more cushioning or, if you really want to go down that rabbit hole, Ergon has got grips with little wings on them, and they've done a lot of things over the years to make all these different types of grips that have really helped people with different types of specific hand pain. And grips is usually where people start, and it's easier to experiment with and not mess up the handling of your bike by just changing your grips out. Yep. So if you have hand pain, do some Googling, look at Ergon, read a lot of their documentation. They have some really interesting grips.
Also, brake lever position will have a lot to do with that. I was actually just talking to a guy because he ran his brake levers really far in, like way far in from his grips. And he said it's because he likes to ride like this, and he kind of cuts his bars down a touch, and he rides like that, and for anyone listening, your hands like pointed in almost like at a 45. So his brake levers are way in, and he said is more natural bend for his wrists. And he eliminated his hand pain and arm pump. So,
well, another thing I learned from you was just having your levers closer to the bar and having a more sensitive contact. Yeah, like when we were riding in Italy, Phil's brakes were like so far from his bars, he could barely.
Extending his fingers so far,
so bad on these downhills. And I was like, you should bring your levers closer. That's what Jeff taught me, and it helps my hand pain a lot. And he's like, oh my God. Like he tried it. And he's like, this is so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of want your hand in a comfortable position. You don't want to be overextending your finger forward or to the side or either direction.
And it also, affects the rest of your hand when you're doing that.
Yep.
Right?
Especially on big, long downhills.
Yeah, totally. Sweet. Next question. Fox 34 Rhythm with spacers versus Fox 36 Factory. I'm 180 pounds on a stump jumper comp alloy. When riding fast flow trails into techie chunks, bottoming out the 34 with full open compression, but find that mid-firm compression is too responsive everywhere else. Thoughts? I've been waterboarding myself with your podcast via Spotify. Huge thanks to all the great info and entertainment. Keep up the good work. It's a tough one.
Well, I mean, it is and it isn't.
Yeah,
I mean, Fox 36 Factory is the nicest fork Fox makes with the most adjustment. So that's obviously going to win over 34 Rhythm, which is step down in stanchion diameter and in like 2 steps down in quality.
Yeah, true.
That being said, I'm not sure, but if you wanted to go the more affordable route, you might be able to get a damper upgrade for that 34 Rhythm.
Maybe.
I'm not 100% sure if they do that or not. But to split the middle, a Fox 36 Performance Elite or Performance Elite is a great option.
Yeah.
Where you get both all the adjustment of the Grip 2 damper on the Performance Elite version, and you can still mess with your volume spacers.
Yeah. Also, that's what I was going to say, even more budget friendly is maybe try a volume spacer or two. And
well, I said Fox 34 Rhythm with spacers.
I thought for...
I'm assuming that's volume spacers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I feel like somewhere he said he wasn't running any at the moment. But,
he's no compression, full open compression, because that Rhythm is only like open or close. Yeah.
Yeah, 36 would be a big upgrade, definitely, especially if you're bottom out to 34 a bunch.
Yep.
But yeah, always nice to just try some volume spacers before you go upgrading your fork.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, for those that don't know, volume spacers make the fork more progressive to help you prevent you from bottoming out as easily. Progressive means more supple off the top and then slowly ramps up progressively towards the end. It gets stiffer.
Gets stiffer. Huh?
Just in case people weren't clear. You never know.
You never know. You really don't.
But in this gentleman's case, I think a 36 would be an epic upgrade.
It would be epic, especially.
It would be a big upgrade because I mean, if he's bottoming out the 34, and he's on a stump jumper, not only would a 36 just be a lot more adjustable and better for gnarlier trails, but it would just be a lot stiffer too.
Yep.
So if he's riding faster and faster, that's important and useful.
You know, that's what I was thinking too. You know, if you're going to do it, if you're even thinking about it, just send it.
Jared's words of wisdom. Yeah. That's your segment. Just,
you know,
if you're even thinking about it, just send it.
If it's going to keep you up at night, just do it.
He's been doing with all those deals.
Yeah.
No, see, that is actually it. If I leave it alone and don't get the thing and it doesn't bother me, then I know I don't need it. Right? I feel like it's a pretty good,
the mind of the American consumer. An economic and psychological study on the human brain.
All right.
Take this information. All right.
Hit the next one.
Hey, especially Bean. Is it okay to apply chamois butter even while not riding? So I wasn't sure exactly what he was talking about with this. Like, if you just generally wanted to use chamois butter like in your day-to-day life. But from a fellow chamois butter user, I have the Go Stick, which I actually use sometimes when I run, like on my thighs,
to
like
prevent
upper
chafing.
thigh to prevent chafing. Yeah.
When I was riding a lot and probably not really used to riding that much, I get some saddle sores every once in a while, and I would use D's Nuts, which is a brand of chamois, butter for the chamois or whatever you want to call it. Chamois butter is also the name brand. Anti-chafing lotion,
cream.
I guess. Cream. So D's Nuts is what I was using a lot then, and it has tea tree oil, which helps heal wounds. So sometimes I would use it while not riding to put on the nasty saddle sore, which is gross.
Yeah, gross.
I did that I like Gurney Goo, but it's also, I think it has similar ingredients. It's like really natural stuff and tea tree oil, and it's good.
Yeah. So that's when I would use it while not riding. I've gotten some weird looks applying some anti-chafing lotion.
Yeah,
6 hours into a 8-9 hour ride, and they're like, "Why are you reaching down there?" I'm like, it hurts either way. So
Yeah.
this makes me a little more comfortable, you know?
Why are you looking at me reaching down there?
Anti-shift cream is definitely useful.
Anti-shift
I will
cream.
say another thing, in case this is related to maybe after your ride, the following days, if you're trying to heal those sores, Aquaphor
Yeah.
works amazing.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
skin healing ointment.
That's the best.
Downside is it is pretty greasy, so
Yeah.
whatever boxers and or maybe greasy. Whatever boxers and or pants you're wearing, they may be stained from
Yeah.
Aquaphor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
put it on and put your sweatpants on or something. I don't know.
There you go.
Or nothing.
There you go. Liam, you want to read this next one?
Yeah. Hey guys, could you talk more about your beef with Shimano setups? I'm running an SLX cassette chain and cranks with an Axis derailleur. Installation was simple, and it shifts perfectly. Seems like an Axis derailleur paired with Shimano cassette chain lets you have both electronic shifting and smoother shifting of Hyperglide Plus. And if you're starting an Axis build from scratch, you save money by, say, a $105 SLX cassette versus a $231 GX cassette. Just curious, since I've heard you guys mention you don't like Shimano a few times, what am I missing? I mean, I know people have had that set up and it works really well for them, and Jared's tried it as well. I'm just a big fan of trying to use all of the same drivetrain parts. There's a lot of engineers and people working on that and testing them so that they work perfectly with the parts that they're created around.
Yeah.
That's kind of all it is. And I'm just not a huge fan of Shimano
Yeah.
parts on my bike. There's nothing wrong with them. They all work good. But as far as bike industry side of things goes, I lean SRAM and their family for how they support the bike industry.
Yeah. I didn't have as good of an experience because I was the other way around. I had an XTR shifter and cassette, or no, excuse me, shifter and derailleur
Oh,
with a SRAM
okay.
XO1 cassette and chain and all that.
Yeah.
So that's probably a huge portion of why mine didn't work as well. But yeah, like, you know, we're just kind of being cheeky a lot of the time, you know, right? Like we like to,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I also
Just
think
like you have to run the same brand tires. You don't have to. We're just
Yeah, no,
being,
no. Just
you know,
bike snobbery.
Yeah, snobbery.
I think what is one of my sort of beefs with this stuff is that this is hard to figure out and it's confusing for consumers. It sounds like he's figured out a nice combo with the Access stuff with that particular Shimano cassette and chain paired with it. It all seems to work. A lot of people don't know, so they'll buy a Shimano chain but a SRAM cassette on that same setup. It won't work, or do what you just did the other direction around. Like there's no specific. It's just hard to figure out, and it's already hard enough to figure out what fits your bike and what to upgrade and what to put on there. So when you start mix matching brands, it just gets a lot more confusing and complicated for people to figure out.
I'm more a fan of mix matching, like within SRAM's family, but like let's say GX cassette with an GX derailleur, XO cassette, XX1 or XX chain now, and let's just say a GX or XO crank. That way you get the really nice chain which performs well and lasts the longest, the good machine cassette which works well and lasts long, and then your derailleur that's you're gonna bash on rocks
right.
is the cheaper one, and you don't feel as bad bashing a GX derailleur versus something that's quite expensive.
For sure.
It's a good point.
So
Yeah.
I like mix matching that way, but within the same brand family.
There you go.
Well, J-Rad, we got time for either this last question or notes from the past.
Last question. I think we can do this real quick. Any tips to prolong the life of bike parts? For example, I have 3 chains and rotate them after 150 to 200 kilometers, 93 to 125 miles. And I replace 3 chains before they wear out using the Park Tool chain checker. I have prolonged my cassette and chainring in the process.
That's the tip. Great job,
That-
guy.
Yeah, that is one of the
extremely good for you to do, and most people don't take the time
beyond
to do that.
that.
That's wild,
With
yeah.
drive chains, keeping them really clean with good chain lube is another great way to prolong them. Having them dirty and gunky is a great way to make them not last long at all. Another little tip, kind of a tip that I try to do sometimes, is if you're running the same tires front and rear on a bike, to obviously you start with brand new tires, but most of the time your rear tire wears out before your front. I buy one of that tire, put the new one on the front, put the semi-used one from the front on the rear, and that way you're only buying one tire and you're getting way more life out of them.
Tire rotation trick.
Little tire rotation trick.
If you
So,
want to get even
brilliant
crazier, you can
stuff.
have multiple sets of wheels and you can rotate those in and out too.
well, I do that as well, but
you too.
yeah.
Nice. Sweet. Those are some good tips.
Yeah.
How about notes from episodes past? push up your glasses up your nose because it's time for a little, well, actually, I think the Jumbo Visma used the adjustable tire dealio in the Paris-Roubaix, not the Tour de France. That's because the race is 160 miles long and has 60 miles to go before it hits any cobble sections.
Was that from last episode?
Was that maybe the last time you were on there where we talked about the adjustable tire pressure
maybe
things on bikes?
Yeah.
How those guys were using it in that race.
Yeah, I think Wout van Aert and Christophe Laporte used it in Paris-Roubaix this year. It's basically a hub which holds air that you can electronically tell it to push air into the tire or pull air out of the tire. So
Owen Wilson.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Because, that race is super unique. And the cobbles are no joke. On TV, they don't look that crazy, but they're like running over curbs.
It's gnarly.
Yeah, on road bikes. So lowering your tire pressure can be huge, but like this says, you have 60 miles to go before you hit any, and like 10 to 20 mile sections between cobbles as well. So if you can drop them for the cobbles and air them up for the beginning or the sprint, which is actually probably most important, to air them up in the velodrome while you're sprinting for the win.
Wow.
That could be good. Unfortunately, pretty sure all the riders with those wheels flatted at this year's Paris-Roubaix. So the technology is new and has a ways to go to be fully competitive. But they did try it, which was cool. Team DSM also had a system, I think a different brand, but they are also running it.
Is it like a compressor or is it a charged
Good thing
canister?
somebody here knows something about road bikes.
Nerd.
Is it like a compressor in there, or is it just like a charged canister that they just fill up and then it's like released?
It's a charged canister that basically I think there's probably a small way that it can only go back and forth a certain amount of times.
Yeah, I'm sure a compressor would be too much.
So it's not a full compressor, but it does weigh quite a bit more. So that was the skepticism about running it at all.
Right.
So, yeah.
Will the pros and cons outweigh each other?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it, huh?
That is it. That is all. Thank you very much for listening this far, and massive thank you to every one of you that shop with us. We appreciate it, and it helps support our business and helps us support making cool mountain bike content that a lot of people enjoy.
Yeah.
Thank you, and it would mean the world to us if you would leave a review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you type that up, take a little screenshot and send it over to podcast@worldwidecyclery.com. Jared will give you a gift in return.
A gift.
If you say how much you love Liam,
that sounds very shady. It's like, do this for a free gift. Yeah. Shipping and handling. Not including shipping and handling.
Yeah.
It's like, what do we give people?
What? $15 gift card to the Worldwide Cyclery website
gift
to
card.
use on any product that you buy.
If you say you love Liam, it will be $16.
Which is basically half price off of a pair of grips or a chain or some brake pads or things like that.
Maybe even a little bottle of chain lube.
Or maybe it's 25% off with inflation.
No, it's $15.
Yeah,
it's a dollar amount code, not a percentage.
No, but it would be like $15 is now is now only a 25% discount code on a pair of grips.
Yeah.
Actually, grips haven't really changed in price in 30 years.
Yeah, it'll get you about a gallon of milk at the grocery store.
You buy milk?
No, I don't actually oat milk.
No.
Maybe pound of ground beef, chicken, whatever you want.
That being said, thank you very much. We appreciate it. See you guys next time.
Love ya.
Sayonara.